Good morning, slaves. When I'm in Rochester and I want to see burning cop cars, I watch Rochester Indymedia, home of the motherfucking resistance.
I'd like to welcome everyone to the Community Commission to Review the Civilian Review Board. Just to give some background to what this committee is. It's a volunteer committee set up to review the process for filing a complaint against Rochester police officers. This committee is not going to tackle a lot of the issues that plague our community, like our relationship with the police, or the wrongdoings or right doings of the police, or the city administration. We are going after reviewing the professional standards process in the Center for Dispute Settlement process for filing a complaint, seeing if it's adequate for our community. And we will make suggestions to keep it as it is or change it to something else. So I want to make sure that we're very clear on what we're doing. Today, what we're having is that we've asked for citizens and police officers who have gone before the civilian review process to talk about their experience. You will be asked, the speakers will be asked a series of questions. We ask for the audience to respect each speaker. Please do not disrupt the people speaking. We are recording this so that we can use it in our decision-making process down the line. I would also ask that people stay on message and on task. We are not going to be able to deal with some of the tough issues that you want to deal with in this meeting, because this meeting is about the experiences of people who have gone through professional standards, whether it be citizens or police. So I would ask people to respect the people who came to speak openly today. We may have differences of opinion, but everybody has the right to their opinion. Chief, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Just want to welcome everyone, and we appreciate the people who are participating in the panel, as well as the people who have chosen to sign up and speak their mind as well.
My name is Teddy Loria, and I would like to start off tonight by apologizing to Chief Shepard, who invited me here Monday night, but I declined. But after everybody called me to be the voice for them, because a lot of them are afraid to come down and give testimony regarding their experience with our PD due to retaliation and harassment. So I changed my mind, and I said, I'll come tonight. I want to give you my history. In the 90s, I sued the Rochester Police Department 4 times in federal court for violating my civil rights. In 1997, I had a favorable ruling by the Internal Affairs Division in my second case. The only reason why Internal Affairs made that ruling in my favor is because I had paperwork showing that the officer in question fabricated, backdated, and forged documents. If I didn't have that paperwork, they would have covered it up. Okay, now my next issue. In 2009, my family had a carpet store on Monroe Avenue. This is what brought me out again. And ironically, it cooperated with Emily Good said. She did not cooperate with Internal Affairs. because the process is seriously flawed. And I'm a proven testimony to that, because on February 11, 2009 and July 24th, 2009, I was harassed by officers from the Rochester Police Department. I went to Internal Affairs regarding both incidents with my attorney, and my attorney requested to corroborate that I was telling the truth, to pull the police camera that was 30 feet in front of our carpet store, which they refused to do, never did. And the reason why they never did that, because they knew by pulling that film, it would have corroborated my claim. And this is the reason why Internal Affairs very seldomly sustains a complaint for the complainant, because if they do, they know it could be used against them in a civil matter, and it opens it up to all kinds of legal liability. This is things that the average person does not know. And to address it in question, especially the second incident.
Hold on, Mr. Loria. We're supposed to ask you some questions.
Okay.
Okay. And some of the stuff that you're talking about is what you're going to be asked.
Okay.
So, because I want to keep the record straight, because we're recording this and we're going to use this later on. When did you file your complaint?
I filed my first complaint. The first incident happened on February 11, 2009 at 458 Monroe Avenue. My attorney and myself, within a week, went down to professional standards on Lyle Avenue. Made a complaint under stenographer. Okay, I told my side. They said they would investigate. My attorney, on the record, who was an officer of the court, requested the sergeant that was handling the investigation to please pull the footage from their own police camera that would have corroborated my claim. They never did that. That was the first incident.
Okay. I got the why. Do you feel like the process was fair and open?
The process, they make it seem like it's fair and open. But everybody knows that Internal Affairs is a very corrupt and very extreme biased entity of the Rochester Police Department that favors the police.
How much communication did you have with Center for Dispute Settlement or PSS?
Center for Dispute Settlement has never contacted me ever.
And with professional standards, how much communication?
After the initial complaint regarding the incident on February 11, 2009, they never contacted me after the initial interview that was tape recorded.
How long did it take to hear back for your results?
Well, that's ironic, because after the Emily Good incident, it dawned on me that I worked so much, 70, 80 hours a week to go through phases of my depression. You know, I said to my attorney, let's call it professional standards. I never got no response to both of my complaints regarding the incident at the carpet stores. So I called down there. They told me that I was not entitled to their findings. And I told the sergeant that answered the phone if he knew my history with RPD and that I am entitled to the result of their investigation. And I explained to him that if he did not send it to me, I'd have my lawyer get a judge to sign a subpoena and force him to give us the conclusions. And now, when I did receive the conclusions regarding the first incident, then we'll get to the second one, which is more incomprehensible.
How long did it take to get the conclusion out on the first one?
It took them 2 years to send me the letters.
Is there anything that you would suggest to improve the process?
To improve professional standards, you cannot improve it because it's a biased entity. It's Rochester Police investigating Rochester Police. Everybody on Friday gets a check from the city of Rochester. That's a conflict of interest. You need an independent body that has no interest in the outcome, favorable or not favorable, to investigate claims, especially a serious claim or a gentleman lawsuit. Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Thank you.
I would like to address the second complaint. Is that possible?
Yes, but if you can do it at speed.
Okay. The second complaint. After the February 11, 2009 incident, within 10 days we filed a federal lawsuit in federal court for violating my civil rights. In regards to that, I was retaliated against for doing that on July 24th, 2009. An Officer Reeves in question, called animal control and fabricated and made up a story that my animal that was in my property, my carpet store, was unleashed and unlicensed. Animal control came down, gave me 2 summonses for having a dog unleashed and unlicensed, even though he was on my own property, under my control at all times, and he wasn't required to be licensed because he was not over 4 months of age due to the agriculture law. It cost me $900 to go to trial, with both officers never appeared at trial, even though they were notified. And in regard to this complaint, we asked them also to pull the tape. Matter of fact, the member is part of the commission here on the second complaint, Sergeant Ron Malley. We asked Sergeant Ron Malley, my attorney, to please pull the footage from the police camera, which will corroborate the dog was never unleashed and he was always under my control. But Mr. Malley said at the first meeting on September 15th of this commission, they do a fair and impartial investigation and leave no stone unturned. They go to all lengths. Cops don't like them, citizens don't like them. They go to whatever it takes to get to the fair conclusion of a complaint. But you know what? It's right here on the record. Why didn't he pull the tape from their own police camera? That's the most fairest thing to do. Never did it. Never did it.
Started September 9th when my son was arrested.
Could you speak up a little, please?
Yes, my problem started on September 9th when my son was arrested. I'm not against being arrested. If he does something wrong, he should go. But after he was arrested, they took my son 2 blocks from where they picked him up at, handcuffed in the back of a police car, and they mazed him. They blackened his eye and they scarred his left shoulder. When he came home to me scarred and battered and bruised, I wanted to know why. So I called the police department and they gave me the number of the police officers who were involved and to their superior. When I talked to their superior, he told me that he was going to investigate it and get back in touch with me and let me know what happened. He called me 10 minutes later and told me his investigation was done and it was justified in what they did. His investigation did not go to the place where he was arrested. He didn't talk to anybody that was involved. Only person he talked to was the officers. After that, he said he would investigate more because I wasn't satisfied with that. So we went downtown to file a complaint. They told us we had to get a lawyer and come back. They wouldn't let us pull none of the files to even find out why he was arrested. We later found out that they said...
Hold on, Ms. Wilson. So you went to file a complaint and you were told...
First, they told us we had to go and get a copy of the arresting statement. But they said we couldn't get that because we weren't lawyers. That he wasn't the complainant. So then we had to go down to they sent us to room 123. And they said we could file a complaint there. There they told us that our lawyer would have to do it, that we weren't able to do it.
Do you feel like the process was fair and open?
Not at all.
How much communication did you have with professional standards?
I called them. I still have not received a call back from them.
Is there anything that you would suggest to improve the process?
Yes, there's a lot I could suggest. But we need to have, actually I'm looking around now, and a lot of people that were complaining about these situations that were supposed to be here is not here. And I think that's our first step. If we can complain about it, we should be able to show up and do something about it. We need to have a system involved where there are other people governing some of these situations that's going on, as in instead of letting the police do this investigation by themselves.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir. There's a show on TV that I like. It's called the Tosh.0 Show, and he does something called the web redemption. With all respect, and I don't mean to make light of the matter, I feel like I'm doing redemption. Last time I was here, with all respect to Mr. McFadden, who wasn't involved in the incident, I was very rudely and unfair and unprofessionally cut off. I asked that I be allowed to read something I prepared that'll be about 3 minutes, and I'll be glad if you can ask me some questions. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Chief. My name is David Barr. Some of you may know me by David V. I'm a filmmaker and freelance writer with the majority of my work centering on exposing the corrupt Rochester Police Department. In a letter recently that Bob Lonsberry wrote to the mayor, titled A Note to Mayor Richards, Lonsberry told the mayor that he, together with the RPD, should, quote, charge their guns and, quote, attack David Barr. That's me. Lonsberry's letter to the mayor was prompted by my support to Emily Good, who was falsely arrested by Rochester police officer Mary Mazzeo, who was upset that Good had videotaped him conducting a racially profiled traffic stop of an African-American motorist, despite of what Mr. Mazzeo may want you to believe. Then weeks later, several RPD officers showed up while we were holding a support meeting for Emily Good, and they retaliated against innocent citizens by pulling out kids' rulers, pink, hot pink, and measuring cars that were parked away by a half-inch over the law and ticketing them. In his letter, Lonsberry told Mayor Richards that for the past 20 years in Rochester, me and my father, the late Mario Rivera, have been the most passionate and relentless anti-police activists. While I never care for anything that Lonsberry has to say, in fact, all he does is poison Rochester's radio airwaves with his sick, racist rhetoric, I took his statements about me and my relentless passion exposing the corrupt RPD as a compliment. Since the mid-'80s, when I used to tag along with my dad on these streets on marches, rallies, and press conference with Al Sharpton, I've seen how the Rochester Police Department has just gotten worse over the years. Having myself won 2 lawsuits right across the street in the federal building against the city of Rochester and the RPD, I know all too well how the RPD gets down, and I know internal affairs. And I must say that internal affairs is a joke. In fact, I put it right up there with the current Civilian Review Board, which is now in place, where cases are referred to the Center for Dispute Settlement, which has absolutely no subpoena power whatsoever, which has no power, period. Where the outcomes and any recommendations are submitted to the chief, sitting next to Mr. McFadden right now, for him to have the final decision on what to do. Simply put, it's a roundabout BS way to get to the same end result. The police policing themselves. I have a problem with seeing officers such as Lamar Cousins, who on serving on different panels I learned from the RPD, who along with Nick Joseph illegally entered my home in 1997 and beat me and falsely arrested me in retaliation for me having videotaped Nick Joseph's brother David Joseph weeks earlier abusing an African-American motorist during a traffic stop. I have a problem with seeing Officer David Joseph violate Teddy Loria's civil rights in 1994, crossing outside his jurisdiction and going into a different town, kidnapping Teddy Loria by forcibly removing him from his own home against his will, then David Joseph violating me and my family's civil rights in 96 and 97. Then after I won my federal lawsuit against David Barr, Nick Joseph, Lamar Cousins, Theodore Caridi, Jason Barnum, and Thomas Rodriguez, who just like me is a Latino and should be ashamed of himself. I have a problem with cops being rewarded instead of being disciplined. As David Joseph was rewarded after my federal lawsuit when the RPD promoted him to sergeant. What do all these cases have in common? At one point or another, internal affairs handle these incidents. And as is the case, 99.999% of the time, sided with the officers involved. A long time ago, I realized a sad thing. Just notice, Officer Caridi's in the room. You should stand up and take a bow. A long time ago, I realized a sad thing. Things don't change. The faces may change, but overall things don't. And especially the corrupt Rochester Police Department, from Alicia McCullough to Calvin Green to William Odom to Vandy Davis to Craig Hurd to Hayden Blackman, all African American and all murdered by white, trigger-happy RPD cops. You see, nothing really changes, just the faces of the victims. Thank you, sir.
Some of this you've already answered in your statement, so I would say this. How much communication did you have with CDS or PSS?
PSS, in '89, I was beaten for mistaken identity by Goodman and Hyden officers, and that was my first taste of PSS. And when my lawyer, Nira Kermish, got involved, she quickly put an end to that because at the time it was Sergeant Sammy Drayton, who I believe was also a pastor inside, and it was a joke. I mean, it was handled unprofessionally. I shared with Mr. Loria, wherever he is in the room, there's about 1 and 2 years, they dragged their feet against. This was 89, you know. In my second case, I didn't have, based on my attorney's, job, basically, she told me basically that not to go that route at all. I mean, there's no trust. I don't have trust in it. The public that I've met and encountered all have the same thing. I have not heard one thing good about the process. It's police policing themselves, and that's the main issue right there. It's like everybody's blind.
Is there anything that you would suggest to improve the process?
We need it's sad. 25 years ago, like I said, my dad called for a civilian review board with real subpoena power and real investigative power. What I suggest is the same thing. I'm getting old. I'll be 41 next month. And it's sad that, my dad's been gone from this world 18 years. I carry that pain every day, and nothing has changed. It's like, I can't even go to my dad's grave and say, Pops, you know what? We did it. It paid off. Nothing's changed. What I suggest, people know what they need to do. It's known. I'll give you respect. I mean, I know you know, but I know one man can't get it done, and it starts with a civilian review board. The Center for Dispute Settlements, it's a joke. I mean, I don't even want to be disrespectful and say it's a joke, but I really can't say nothing good about it, and people know. And I really feel, I want to say something last thing, I really feel there's a ticking time bomb in this city. I feel it. I'm on these streets every single day. If I hear youth not older than my son, who'll be 10 in the 29th of this month, God bless him, David. If I hear youth saying they're going to take a cop out and mention the Mazzeo in the same sentence, something's wrong, guys. Something's wrong. And I'm telling you, don't take my word, take the temperature in the streets. It's getting hot.
Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Can't get away with that.
My first incident started with the Rochester police back in '99. My brother Omar Broomfield shot a police officer. And ever since he shot a police officer, the Rochester Police Department has been harassing me, trying to physically abuse me. My car had got shot up in '99 on Jefferson Avenue. And the Rochester Police Department told me if they knew I was Omar Broomfield, bro, they would shot me, they effing self. So at the time, I went to Internal Affairs. After the police told me if he see me in Jefferson Avenue neighborhood once again, he was going to have me killed. Well, I went to Internal Affairs and tried to talk to them, they brushed me off. So I left it alone. I never went through it because I didn't want to get hurt by the police officers. So on September the 27th of this year, I was in my house. My wife had an appearance ticket warrant. She was appearance ticket. We got back from out of town on Saturday. She was going to go handle it up Monday after school. She go to MCC, Monroe Community College. So what happened was, I opened up the door. They said this is the Rochester Police Department. I opened up the door. Now, I sleep on the couch in my house sometimes in the morning. My wife told me she gets sick sometimes, so I didn't know she stayed home from school. So she was upstairs in the room. So when I went to the door, I opened up the door, and the Rochester Police Department said, they said it's the Rochester Police Department. So I was like, okay, yeah, what are you here for? It's like, Sierra, your wife got an appearance ticket that she need to clear up. I said, well, she's at Monroe Community College, she's in school right now. So he was like, when she come home, can you please tell her that she need to clear up the appearance ticket at the public safety building? So I was like, all right, officer. So I got ready to close the door. He's like, can I search your house? I said, do you have a search warrant? They said no, and pushed the door. I hit the wall. As he came in the house, he walked through the house. He started searching the house, looking all through the house, everything. Next thing I know, I'm telling him, can I please see a search warrant? I keep asking the officer, can I please see a search warrant? He said no. The other officer, badge number 8, punches me in the chest. My wife comes out the room down the stairs as he punches me in the chest and jumps in between us and says, my husband is a diabetic. They took her out the house. And they took her out the house for her appearance ticket, the one officer. The first officer who punched me in the chest followed me upstairs. I was mad. I cursed. I said, yo, this is wrong what y'all doing to me. Y'all abusing me in my own house. You know what I mean? You got the person you came for, you know what I mean? So why is you abusing me, still following me? So when I went upstairs to put my clothes on, the officer badge number 8 told me he was gonna beat my effing butt in the room. So the other officer came upstairs, was threatening to beat me too. So I said, what y'all gonna beat me for? I ain't even do nothing. So he was like, just shut up. Did you want to just try this mother effort right here? So I said, no. I said, yo. I said, why is y'all beating me? Why is y'all going to keep try to beat me in this room? So the other officer finally came back and was like, after dealing with my wife, came back and said, the badge number 8 asked the other officer, what you want us to do with this brother effort? So he's like, you do whatever you want to do with him. So they said, we taking him to jail. So I said, all right, let me put my pants on. As I get my pants on, he puts me up, he cuffs me. I let him cuff me. I walk out. I don't resist arrest. I walks out. I goes out to the car. I see a neighbor, and the neighbor, I tell her to go get my mother, because my mother lived 2 doors down from me. So
it's all our pain. We share that pain.
and she go get my mother. The officer puts me in the back seat of the police car. So as I'm in the back seat of the police car, the officer tells me, shut up. So I'm like, this is wrong what you doing to me. I ain't even do nothing. You know what I mean? I'm law-abiding citizen. I'm living by the law. I'm not doing nothing. So he puts me in the back seat of the car. Then he gets out and maces me. He say, oh, he spits on me. Then he gets out the back seat of the car and maces me in the face. I'm handcuffed and everything. I'm not doing nothing. I turns my face, he maces my whole face, my whole back up, and then rolls up the window. I couldn't even breathe. I tried to call for my mother who's sitting back there. I tried to call for her, and it was like I was dying back there. And then he talked about him and his other officer, the other officer who was with him, talking about taking me somewhere, beating me. I'm talking about physically beating me. I yelled for my mother after I could finally grip my gas for air. I yelled for my mother to follow me. They takes me in the parking lot. I'm a diabetic. My wife telling them to get his machine to test his blood sugar. They like, no, we not doing nothing. They cursed my mother out. They talked to my mother like she was nothing. You know what I mean? So after they did all that, the sergeant came. The sergeant, they took me downtown. As the sergeant took me downtown, they took me to the public safety building where you go wash your mace off your face. And as you wash your mace off your face, they was like, well, we can take you out this car right now and you can fight my partner head up right now. I said, y'all gonna kill me. I'm not gonna fight. There's no cameras underneath this public safety building where you washing your mace off, where you're supposed to wash the mace off. So then he started saying, who you think they're gonna believe, you or me? You or me, you've been giving the Rochester Police Department problems for years. I said, no, I haven't. They said, you've been blaming us for years. I said, I don't blame nobody for nothing I ever did but myself. So they tell me to get out the car. I'm scared to get out the car because I'm thinking they're going to beat me when I get out this car. So my family called and looking for me. So the Rochester Police Department tell me, well, we just wait for the supervisor. We waited there for an hour. So I finally agreed to get out the car to wash the mace up off me and stuff like that. And the whole time I'm asking them, yo, I did not spit on you, man. You maced me for nothing. You did nothing. You did this to me for nothing. The officer said, well, it's our word against yours. They're not going to believe you in a courtroom. So I just left it at that. After that, they took me to central booking and I post bail. My bail was $600. But what they did to me was wrong. I went to the professional standards. Like the man said, I feel like professional standards was a joke. It's like they are the same people, like they should have people out of town investigate the Rochester Police Department. They tells me that it's going to take this certain amount of time. The one sergeant, the white guy, sergeant, he talking to me like I'm the one who violated one of them. I didn't do nothing to him, but I guess it's part of the way they interrogate you. So I'm telling them, today I just took my wife there, my mother just went there, and my wife said she felt very uncomfortable there. You know, I don't feel like the professional standards is going to do nothing about this. I'm going to court today. I had to go to court for my charges. They wanted me to plead guilty. I'm not pleading guilty to nothing because I didn't do nothing wrong. You know, I told them it's just unfair the way they treat people in Rochester. You know what I mean? My brother shot a police officer, and I'm not going to lie, it was wrong. but they don't have no right to take it out on me. I'm not him. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what it was.
Mr. Brumfield, let me ask, so you did talk to professional standards?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Brumfield.
So I've never filed a complaint, but I did try one time, and I told that story up here once before. I was in jail getting fingerprinted, and the person taking my fingerprints said some really ugly things that I wanted to report. It was very unprofessional. We were having, you know, amongst sort of the arrestees, a political conversation, and she said, you know, I'd rather see people bombed than on welfare. And that just, I thought that that was really unprofessional, and I tried to file a complaint, or I wanted to file a complaint, but I went to the Hall of Justice and asked at a few of the stations for the clerks, and the only place that they told me to go, I didn't know about the Center for Dispute Settlement. They just told me to go to the police department, and I didn't feel comfortable. I just knew that that wasn't the right way to file a complaint, so I ended up not filing one. But in the arrest incident from my front lawn, I did have contact with professional standards. In fact, I had unwanted contact with professional standards because I felt unsafe with them coming to my house, and they came more than 4 times to my house. And from the first time that they came, I said, I don't want to talk to you. I have a lawyer. You can, you know, this doesn't, please, you know, like maybe we could talk on the phone. I'm alone in my house and I don't want to talk to you. They came to my front porch and stared me down. Twice they left cards. So I thought that that was really intimidating. And they also said, you know, they were trying to come investigate the burglary. And, you know, I said, I don't want to talk about it. I really didn't feel like they should be investigating the burglary either. And they said, they made me feel, they said in a very kind of condescending way, you know, this is apples and oranges. We're here to investigate a burglary. I don't know what you're talking about. This has nothing to do with your lawyer. You really don't need to tell us to go away. We just want to have a conversation to make your neighbors safer. And you know, after telling them in their, you know, staring me down, you know, I'm alone in my house, telling them I feel unsafe. This really isn't a good, you know, situation. They just, you know, said that you're completely not cooperating, and they said, you know, you shouldn't have to get your lawyer involved in that. And I thought that was extremely disrespectful. I mean, so that's some of my experience. And then also regarding the internal investigation, I know that there was a press conference in which they said that there were internal investigations completed that dealt with my arrest and with the ruler's incident. And, you know, I have no idea what the internal investigation involved, but they did not speak to any witnesses. I mean, there is one of my neighbors who witnessed the entire incident works at City Hall. I'm sorry, but there were very legitimate witnesses all around, and they never talked to any of them. They didn't even try, and they weren't hard to get a hold of. They made no attempt to find out anything. They didn't make any attempt to talk to the people who got tickets, and then, you know, every news channel is saying they're being uncooperative. There was no attempt to reach out. People were interested in talking about that incident, and there was no effort. So, you know, I was really disturbed by, you know, Mr. Mazzeo sitting back there told lies about me on like, you know, all the media stations. He said that I had contact with the police officers when they pulled up. That's a dead lie. Mr. Mazzeo, I'm sorry, like, I'm really curious, you know, I don't really want to have contact with you, but I am curious. Maybe you could write me a letter and answer that one. They absolutely tell lies all the time, in my experience.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Could we do this, refrain from any speakers addressing one person, because it's really the commission that you need to address. Is there anything that you would suggest to improve the process?
Yes, remove Mr. Mazzeo from the commission. Remove all police from the commission. Actually, scrap the commission.
across the street coming
Hold
here
on.
and monitor our PD.
Everybody will have an opportunity to speak. We gotta respect the process, please.
Good afternoon. Good evening, I'm sorry.
Good evening.
My matter started November 10th, 2010, probably about 10 o'clock that evening. I was headed home from the YMCA in Rochester, New York, the Carlson Center. As I turned onto my street, I was living off of East Main Street at the time on Minnesota Street. As I turned onto my street, there were some police officers lined up in their vehicles. So I stopped being courteous because I saw that there was a police officer standing off to the side of the road. So I stopped to allow him to pass, allow him to cross the street to get to his vehicle. So as he proceeded to go across the street, he stopped in the middle of the street and shined his light at my direction, and he started coming toward me. I rolled my window down and asked him, could I help you? He asked me where was I coming from. I told him where I was coming from. He asked me, did I have a driver's license? I said, yes, I have a valid New York State driver's license. I have insurance, my car is legal. At the time I was driving a 2009 BMW. And so at the time I'm talking to him, his partner comes up on the other side of my vehicle and starts pounding on my car from the trunk all the way up to the passenger side window. And when he got to the window, he started pounding on my window, not knocking, but pounding. So I rolled my window down and he started asking me questions about where was I coming from. I told him I was just coming from the gym. He was asking me about what type of exercises was I doing, so on and so forth. So then the other officer said, well, listen, if your driver's license is fine and you don't have any warrants for your arrest, you're free to go. Gave him my driver's license. We're sitting there waiting. He passes my driver's license off to his partner. His partner goes and does what it is that he does and comes back and said he's okay. So the officer says to me, okay, well, you're free to go, but just remember we're going to be in this neighborhood quite a bit because the neighbors don't like people speeding and not wearing a seatbelt. I said, okay, but remember this, I said to him, yeah, you should come back around because my car has been vandalized several times. So as I drove off, they let me go. As I drove off, I lived right on the corner of Minnesota and Atlantic Avenue at the time. I really didn't like what I had experienced. So I said to myself, I'm going to go in, call 911 and ask for a supervisor to come out. So I go in, I call 911. I waited a few minutes for a supervisor to come out, and no supervisor ever showed up. I called 911 again. The 911 operator told me that a supervisor would come out. Hung up, waited a little while longer. So a few minutes later, I hear someone ringing my doorbell frantically. So I go up and I pick up my intercom. I say, who is it? They said, it's the police. Come get your fucking ticket. So I said to myself, come get the police, come get my ticket. So I didn't have any clothes on because I had taken off my gym clothes. And when I was approaching my door to go downstairs, I heard some conversation between the police officer and someone else, but I couldn't tell who it was, but come to find out it was my neighbor. So I could hear the police officer asking my neighbor, where was Daryl Vickers? So he said, oh, he lives upstairs. So I see them push past my neighbor and they run up my stairs. And the first lead officer says to me, oh, you want to fucking complain, tough guy? Here's your fucking ticket. So he throws the ticket in my door. So I in turn kicked the ticket back out the door to him and said, you can't give me a ticket after you told me I was free to go. How you gonna bring a ticket to my house? So there was a couple words exchanged between he and I told him, get out of my house, man, and I slammed the door. So they go back downstairs, and a couple minutes go by. Now I'm still waiting on a supervisor to show up. No supervisor ever showed up. So I go back downstairs, police, 2 cops are still outside. No supervisor, so I go back upstairs, but this time I leave my door open downstairs in the hallway so that if the supervisor were to show up, they could just walk inside. Go back downstairs a couple more times, and I'm standing in the doorway. I never went outside. I'm standing in my house, and another cop car pulls up, and this other officer gets out, and I hear him say to the two cops that are there, "Is that the guy there?" So I hear him say, "Yes, that's the guy." So he starts running toward my house. So I close my door to go back upstairs. They kicked the damn door in. Kicked the door in, grabbed me, slammed me up against the wall, roughed me up, put me in handcuffs, drugged me out of my house, literally, threw me in a cop car with the windows rolled up, with the heat on 100 degrees. Didn't open the door, so a sergeant eventually showed up. So that was what prompted me to wind up at Internal Affairs, if that's the proper name for it.
So you still haven't gotten the results?
No, this November 10th will be a year, and I've only gotten 2 communications. So then last month, or about 2 months ago, I called to find out, I called Chief Shepherd's office to find out what was going on. I even reached out to you to see if you could assist me with trying to find out what was going on, and I still haven't heard anything as of yet.
Is there anything that you would suggest to improve the process?
I would echo the sentiment of the young lady that just went before me.
It's all speakers that we have signed up to speak, and I did get a number of phone calls, I have to put this on the record, of both officers and citizens who were not comfortable in speaking publicly about their experiences. One of the speakers asked me to say that they had completely lost trust in the process, and I said that I would.
Also asked something that I forgot. Moving fast forward, my case was eventually thrown out of court.
Okay. That they felt that the reason why they wouldn't come and speak is because they were just tired, and that they had lost trust in the process as a whole. So I said that I would repeat that. But with that being said, that the commission that was formed by a council president who called on me to chair this. This is not an easy thing to do. And I know that I've been seeing some of the blogs and people calling me, asking me, is it a smoke screen? Are we really going to do something? Speaking on behalf of the committee, we are trying to actually really look at our process of how we do business, and we will make suggestions as to whether we feel it's adequate or not adequate. But I would ask, again, respect the process. I'm not one of these people. Trust me. I'm not going to play with people. Straight up. Respect the fact that we're doing this. This is not easy. A lot of people, I got the floor. A lot of people have put their time, energies into this. The council member that did it before me, I remember when I came on the council, he told me he got death threats for trying to do this. So this was not something that I was signing up to do. So I will not be disrespected by anybody. Let's be clear on that. But with that being said, I promise you that we will do our due diligence. We will be open and meeting. We have not done any closed meetings. It would be very easy for me to go into executive session and not have these sessions public. But we are not going to do that. This is going to be an open process. Okay? So I would ask for people to be respectful, to understand that this is not easy, that Rochester is not the only place trying to fix this, that we are trying to make this community better. And the next step for us will be, next month we're going to put on, in my mind, what we have to do is mock situations of when people have issues, what they do when they call professional standards or the Center for Dispute Settlement, what happens. Because there are a lot of folks in this community that don't know the process. So it may seem like it's slow, but everything takes time. But we will get to a point where we are making suggestions. But I would ask people to be respectful to the folks that are serving on this committee, to the people that are putting their energies into this. This does not have to be an open process. I have the authority to make it closed, but I will not do that to you. But you got to trust that we're going to try to do this right. So with that being said, we need to set another meeting date for November. We're going to review the process for filing a complaint. There are two, there's a legislative process and there's an investigative process, so that the community understands. Some of you have been working on this a long time, so you may have an understanding of it, but the broader community does not. So we have to go through that process, and we will do that next month. And I know next month is a holiday, so the Wednesday that we probably would have had this on is before Thanksgiving. So I'm suggesting the Wednesday after Thanksgiving, if that works for the committee. Does that work for everyone? The 30th of November. Is there, committee, is there any other business to come before us? With that being said, we are adjourned.
It's too late for him back.
I couldn't hear what she said. I'm sorry. But I didn't. But I didn't. When you disrespect me, you're going to get it back.
The fact that you say is condescending and insulting.
But I didn't do it.
Part of the smoke screen.
Look, I'm from Philadelphia, and I'm old enough to have been in Philadelphia when the police commissioner was Rizzo. And for those people who might remember that name, it's a name that sort of epitomizes the kind of attitude that police can but don't necessarily have to have against the citizens. And unfortunately, those citizens who are not a part of the power structure, you know, people who aren't wealthy, people who aren't even middle class, people who are the other, meaning not white, people who are women, we get treated differently. And I see that here in Rochester, and it's scary. And so I'm here because if I'm not here, how can I ask anybody else to be here? And the only way to hold our politicians accountable is to be there or to be here. So that's why I'm here, to make sure that what Adam McFadden said he wanted to start not only gets started but gets finished. Disappointed that people are afraid of retribution from the police, so afraid of retribution that they can't even complain to the people who are supposed to be taking care of them. I mean, and I don't want to think that Rochester is a police state because, you know, that them's fighting words. And I really want us to be working together to build a safe community for everybody. But it sure feels like some of the criteria of police state are working when people are afraid to come up and complain about the people who are supposed to be serving and protecting them. Like I heard someone else say, nobody apologized to those people who testified for a process that didn't work for them. Nobody apologized. Just standard questions, you know, did you complain to the PSS? Did you talk to the Center for Dispute Settlement? How long did it take? You know, somebody could fill out a survey and answer those questions. That's kind of bogus when you have people telling you their heartfelt stories. Well, I think Adam was annoyed that the crowd was the crowd, that the people were speaking. And so I think he was annoyed at that. But you can't expect in a state that we're in, you cannot expect people to come to a meeting like this and be polite.
They want you to do what they want instead of what you want. Now there are 3 things that you can do about grown-ups. 1, you can ignore them. 2, you can quarrel with them. 3, just say,
well, you smell like a piece of doo-doo.
That is the smartest thing you could possibly do. Try putting it into practice with the grown-ups in your